How's it going, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Nick Marro here with DFS Jayhawk, as always, helping you break down the DFS main slates for the NBA on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We are here with Occupy Fantasy. And yes, indeed, HB Cards. Nick at night tonight. We got the two Knicks here. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. Quick shouts out here. We got Luke, Heath. Appreciate you guys being in here early. There's someone up there too. I already scrolled. David, first on the board here. What up, man? Appreciate you as well. Our Finch, all the gang is here. I'm sure a bunch of more of you will be filing in. Jose, what's good, Nick? We could both say what up to Jose at the same time with that one. But yeah, man, Jayhawk, pretty interesting slate tonight. We were just talking a little bit before we went live. Once again, FanDuel and DraftKings don't want to get on the same page. Kind of is what it is. We got 11 games, I think, over on FanDuel, just 9 on DK. And shouts out Eli here, first NBA slate of the season. It's definitely a good one for him, man. A lot of good options. But yeah, Jayhawk, what's your overall take here? I actually have the DK Knight pulled up. I got to fix that. But yeah, what's your lay of the land this evening as far as the NBA goes?
Yeah, man. Kind of coming off a rough night in terms of my night last night. Bunch of New Orleans ended up, a lot of the value ended up not doing good. We're going right back here, though. New Orleans, bunch of good value plays once again today. Obviously, Zion sidelined for over a week. So, yeah, excited to break this one down with you.
Yeah, when we get to New Orleans, that's going to be a big, big talking point. Jordan Poole, questionable tonight. I think that's super significant. But as always, guys, we're going to go game by game in order of the official NBA injury report. So if you have questions, try to ask them when we're talking about those teams. Otherwise, we will get to pretty much everything at the end. But if you're jumping ahead to 10 o'clock game saying, should I play so-and-so in the last game of the slate, we might skip that question till later. But again, appreciate you guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the links in the description below to get access to the model you'll see us using here throughout the video. But yeah, man, no more time for pleasantries. We got to dig into this one. And I was telling you before, I think this is the first slate I have interest really in my Nets this season. Nets here on the road, taking on this version of the Pacers. If it was a healthy Pacers team, this would be a different story. But yeah, I actually think Brooklyn here, also sending a few of their rookies down to the G League, are going to be a bit more appealing than usual. Again, I'm a Nets fan. I'm biased, but kind of in the opposite direction. I've been really hard on this team. But I do think tonight they got some appealing plays. 232.5 point total. Pacers are favorites, but only by a few points. We got Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, and Michael Porter at the top of the model for Brooklyn. I think all three of those guys are good. Gonna have to wait and see what the starting lineup looks like. We have seen Tyrese Martin sliding in to play some point guard. Still capped around 25 minutes. I don't mind him. I do think there's a world where we see Clowney sliding back into the starting lineup. He'd be pretty interesting as value. But yeah, man, Claxton tonight, one of my favorite center plays. I think he's underowned on both sites. There's a lot of good value centers, but a lot of iffy value centers as well. I do think Claxton is someone who stands out to me as a great tournament play. I'm fine getting to either Cam or Porter. Probably wouldn't want both in the same lineup, but they both have like 40 real point upside in a matchup like this. And then the wings, man, Zaire, those are two guys that you could usually use as like a last piece in. But again, I've been really low on the Nets, rightfully so. They haven't won a game yet. I do think this is one of the few they could maybe pull out. So, yeah, I'm a little bit bullish on them here. It doesn't feel great, but any interest in my Nets tonight?
Yeah, man. Right there with you. I've been a little bit more bullish than you have. But yeah, I think they look great here. Starting with your boy Nick Claxton tonight. I think he looks awesome. One of the best mid-tier center plays here on the slate. And then in terms of Cam Thomas and MPJ, I think they're both great in the mid tier. I think I do prefer Cam Thomas by a tiny amount, but I think they both look great at their prices.
Yeah, and another thing I do want to emphasize: the Nets took five. They had 5 first round picks, so they've been really deep these rotations. But Seraph and Traore, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, they sent a bunch of these guys down to the G League. So they're still going to kind of limit minutes, but the roster isn't as deep as it has been. So I do feel a little bit better, even in a game that could get out of hand. Some of these guys are going to have to play minutes. But again, just to recap quickly, Claxton, one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate. I think you get to one at Cam or MPJ and feel pretty good about it. Over on the Pacers side, a spot where we're definitely going to be highlighting a few plays. Very, very thin roster here. No Halliburton, no Quentin Jackson, no Cam Jones, Johnny Furphy, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nemhard, or Obi Toppin. yeah, they're pretty damn thin. Siakam continues to put up massive numbers as he leads this team in usage. He looks really good here if you can afford him. Jarvis Walker looks pretty damn good as well. Obviously has forward eligibility on DK at small and power forward, which is useful. And then FanDuel power forward or center. Probably wouldn't want to use a center spot for him, but he is a little bit cheaper over there. Those two definitely stand out to me in a big way. We did see the first big Isaiah Jackson game of the year, I believe. Looked great against Milwaukee, and that's not a good matchup necessarily for opposing bigs. So it was good to see him get going there. I'm fine going back to him as a value center. Like I said, I'm on a ton of Claxton tonight, but I do think Jackson, with or without Claxton in those lineups on DK, looks good. Even on FanDuel at 4,400, I think he's a little bit safer than some of the other centers we're going to see be popular. So I like all the front court here, that being Walker, Siakam, and Jackson. The guard situation is a little tricky, right? We've seen some big games out of Ray J. Dennis. He's a little bit banged up. Shepard's been a huge disappointment. Naismith more of a wing than a true guard. Like, I don't know that I could trust much of this backcourt, but again, front court looks tremendous to me here. Really like the game environment, expecting a high-paced and competitive game with not a lot of defense. So I'm going to be on those Pacers. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah, man. Looks like you nailed it for the most part here. You know, Jarvis Walker, I think is probably the best overall point per dollar play here. 5,800, really projecting out super good for me and on the model. And then I think Isaiah Jackson, I think that's a really good shout. 4,400, really good price, solid matchup. Love running both Clarkson and Jackson. I think you can run them both together. And then Siakam, I think it's possible Siakam, 9,500. I think he's probably properly owned in a pretty good spot here. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. I like the matchup for Jackson. Like, it's the Nets aren't that big in terms of their front court, and I think this game's going to play really fast. So guys like Huff and Bradley could struggle to stay on the floor. A couple quick comments here. Jose just likes Walker Siakam from the first game. I'd say those are the core plays. Rocket Sauce saying he's already on MPJ and Clax props. Love that, man. And Eli saying, is this a stack to go with for value good matchups? Yes, absolutely. The only thing in really loading up on these early games is that if we do get breaking news late, like, you're not going to be able to pivot necessarily to some of the stronger value. Other than that, I don't think there's really any reason not to like that game environment. And again, I have not been playing many Nets this year. Another game at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the 76ers taking on the Cavs on the road in Cleveland. Cleveland are moderate favorites. It looks like they're going to be getting Donovan Mitchell back tonight. He is not on the injury report. We do have Jared Allen and Darius Garland and DeAndre Hunter is questionable, and Sam Merrill. So yeah, Garland's been out all year. I don't really expect him to be back tonight. I guess it wouldn't shock me. Jared Allen seems like he's good to go. I think he went through shoot around. And then Hunter obviously is significant if he's going to be out. Kind of a tricky team to really break down until we have some of this news, though. I think regardless, you could look to Mobley. As more of these guys get ruled out, he's going to become more and more appealing. Don't really have much interest in Allen at his price, just because there are better centers in that range. We just talked about a couple of them. Mitchell, if he's back, obviously fine as a tournament dart. There's a ton of great guards on this slate, though. But yeah, man, Mobley for me, I don't think I get to much outside of him. But are you looking at the Cavs here? And obviously things could change once we get some of this news.
Yeah, I just wanted to address, I think we did get news that both Garland and Allen are on track to play per their coach. So I'm assuming those guys should play. And then for the rest of the team here, assuming they do play, I think Mobley, Mitchell, both are fine, 3% and 4%, but not guys that I'm like flocking to. So it'd just be like low on tournament stabs here.
Yeah, and even now knowing that all these guys are going to be playing, I'm probably coming off Mobley a little bit. I'd much rather get to Siakam for a little bit more. There's a few other guys in some of these other games that we'll talk about. But again, with Garland being out, everyone's a little bit overpriced. Um, but yeah, he's back. So that's going to cut into obviously the upside for these other players. On the Philly side of things, it is a back-to-back for them. No Joel Embiid. Paul George is out. McCain, who did return yesterday, is going to be unavailable as well, as is Dominic Barlow. Tyrese Maxey has been an absolute beast. There's just no other way to describe it, really. Consistently hitting a ceiling game after game. Price really hasn't come up much. not the best matchup on paper, excuse me, but when you consider the total, 237.5 points, I think the pace almost cancels out the tough defense here. Really, really like Maxi. Edgecombe, more of a play on FanDuel. DK Price, a little bit inflated. Don't hate it. And then Oubre and Grimes, like these guys have been producing. Their prices really haven't moved much. Obviously, with Embiid out, even in limited minutes, there's a bit of extra usage for them to go around. So I like Maxi a lot here. One of my favorite pay-ups at guard. Don't mind mixing in some Oubre or Grimes. That's probably it for me from Philly. But yeah, obviously tough defense. But when the total's this high, I don't want to overlook this spot, Jayhawk. Are you getting too many 76ers?
Yeah, man, I think for Philly here, it definitely starts with Tyrese Maxey, like you mentioned. Chuck and I ended up getting, or at least that was one of the only plays I really got right yesterday. I think he looks great once again tonight. 10,000 on DK. He's been, a beast, like you mentioned. So I love him. Good pace, good total. And then VJ Edgecombe, 12% on FanDuel. I just don't love him on DraftKings. Maybe you can get it more on FanDuel, but it's mainly those two guards. And then, with all these other guys, I just think they're sprinkles, man, in tournaments.
Yeah, the wings are kind of priced where they should be. I do think Oubre starts probably next to Walker. Grimes coming off the bench, so Oubre feels a little safer. But again, I think Grimes is just as good. He's flashed similar upside. We do have a third 7 o'clock game tonight. We got the Jazz here taking on the Pistons in Detroit. 232.5 point total. Again, Pistons are going to be moderate favorites. Starting with the Utah side of things. Unfortunate news we found out today. Walker Kessler is out for the rest of the season. This was a dude who started to break through. Just terrible timing dealing with a shoulder injury. I think it's a rotator cuff. Just sucks, but not to dwell on that. Nothing else really significant in terms of their injury report. But what this does is it does mean Nurkic is going to be the starting center moving forward, probably going to continue to see solid minutes, especially against a pretty big front court like they'll be seeing here in Detroit. I like Nurkic. I think he's solid. I do think he's a little bit over-owned on DK. Again, Claxton and Jackson, to me, are under-owned if we're comparing them. But I do think in cash games, Nurk makes a lot of sense. You can play him on FanDuel as well. You only have the one center spot, though. But other than that, I mean, Laurie, as scoring dependent as he is, continues to put up numbers. Keontae George, even with Collier back, has been putting up numbers. So those two, to me, are pretty interesting. Other than that, I don't know that there's much. We probably see Hendricks slide into the starting lineup again. That's kind of a trap to me. Maybe just avoid that one. He had one good game. Svi Mikhailiuk as well probably gets the nod here. Just someone I don't really have much interest in for value. So a little bit of Laurie, a little bit of Keontae. Don't mind Nurkic. Perform on FanDuel where he's lower owned. Those are the three Jazz players I have much interest in. How about you, Jayha?
Yep, right here on the same page. Nurkic, clearly the top player for me. 31% on DraftKings. I think he looks great. Even on FanDuel, 10%. Fine mixing him in. And then I do really like marketing because of this game total. 9% owned. I love mixing him in a bunch in tournaments. He's either going to score, 35 or 30 real, and Nuke, or he's going to put up a horrible shooting night. So just kind of have to know that when you play Laurie. But I think Nurkic, Laurie, you can get to Keontae. I personally like some other guards on this slate, but it's definitely a great spot for him in tournaments.
Yeah. Utah keeps it close. It's definitely going to be a lot of Delonte, or what am I saying? Keontae and Laurie. Over on the Pistons side of things, no Tobias Harris, which is significant. No Jaden Ivey or Marcus Sasser. We did see Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, slide into the starting lineup playing alongside Jalen Duren. Had a tremendous game against Memphis, 59 DK points in 33 minutes. I don't think he's going to replicate that, but honestly, he doesn't need to at 52 and 5K respectively between the two sites. Forward eligibility for him. If he starts again, he is one of the good chalk plays tonight to me. I do like Cade Cunningham here. I do think Maxi's a good tournament pivot at lower ownership, but obviously Cade looks just as good. He's been excellent. Oscar Thompson, his minutes continue to climb, looks good, and this matchup does get even better for Durant with no Walker Kessler. Those four, to me, are very interesting. If there's anything on the bench I'd get to here, and I probably won't, it might be Ronald, Holland. I just think he's talented, but until those minutes start to consistently sit over 20, I have trouble getting there. We do have him for 24, but again, such a massive slate, I'm probably just not going to get to him if I'm being completely honest. But again, Cade looks good. Stewart, a core play for me, assuming he starts. Thompson, Durant look pretty good here as well. How are you handling Detroit?
Yeah, man, right with you. I think Detroit looks amazing, especially since we don't have Luka and Wemby on the DK main slate. So starting with Cade, I think up top, he looks great. Sub 20%, has a huge ceiling in the spot. And then obviously you mentioned Isaiah Stewart. He's the cover boy for the Discord sheet later. I think he's one of the best plays on the slate. with Tobias Harris out here. Excuse me, and then
No,
Azor Thompson and Duran. I think they're both fine. I'm getting to just about the field here with those two.
yeah, man, right there with you. We got a question from Luke. Warriors are a mess. Should we backload to wait on their injury news and value? I mean, it depends how many lineups you're playing, Luke. Personally, it's like which of these Warriors guys do you want to trust on the back to back? I mean, Pause is questionable, right? We already know Jimmy's out. You can backload. I just don't know that we're going to get too much more value from there than we already have. At the same time, if you are playing on FanDuel, obviously Wemby and Luca look great, so you could go kind of stars and scrubs. Hope that answers that. I know it's a bit of a workaround. Hunter is showing a Q tag. Jose on the Detroit injury news. I'm not much of a showdown guy for NBA, Jayok. I'll pump this one to you. Best captain suggestion for the showdown of Cleveland and Philly.
I think obviously Maxi up top, very tough to ignore. So that's like the safe answer. In tournaments, you could maybe go, maybe like a D Mitch or another Cleveland player, but I think Max is probably your safest bet there.
Yeah, Maxi definitely the safest if you find value elsewhere. Chris, yes to both. Those are two favorite Jazz players, I think, Keontae and Nurk. You can play them in a lineup as well. David with a good question here. When hand building lineups is focusing on a player's ownership percentage, price, and probability of hitting their mean a more valid way to build lineups rather than looking at matchups? Yes. Well, if you're using the model, all of that is baked into the data. And if you're on another site looking at projections, the matchups, the pace, all that stuff is baked into the model day to day. So you don't want to double count for things. Like usually a guy like Cade Cunningham, if he's against, I don't know, the Celtics, he'll project a little bit worse than he will against a team like the Jazz. You don't want to go into that comparing him to other payups and then double count thinking, oh, this is a good or a bad matchup. It's already in the data. So I hope that helps answer that, David. But we got to keep plugging along. We got a lot of games to get to today. 7:30 window now. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on who is it? The New York Knicks. And we did just get word that Anthony Edwards should be back in and available to play. Still waiting on some Knicks news, so let's start with the Minnesota side of things again. Ant is available as of just a few minutes ago. Terrence Shannon is questionable. Nothing else too significant. Dillingham and DiVincenzo are both in. We will probably see Mike Conley return to the bench. He's not going to be starting here. DiVincenzo probably the starting point guard next to Ant. Honestly, Gobert's been having good games with Conley in. Like they're chemistry goes back to Utah. I usually prefer Gobert when he has Conley as his point guard, but again, on this slate, I don't really think we need to play him either way. Don't mind Ant as like a lower owned value play. This game is in the Garden. Shooters like to shoot in the Garden. If he's 100% healthy, I could see him being a really nice tournament play here, sub 9K at very low ownership. But Randall feels a little bit overpriced now. I have trouble trusting much else from this team here against the Knicks. Are you getting to any Timberwolves tonight, Jayhawk, with Ant coming back?
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly there. I think all these guys are probably overpriced with Ant back now. Obviously Dante, Randall, both big price bumps here. So I think it's probably this Ant, like you mentioned, 2%. You can get there if you want to get like contrarian, but for the most part, I'll just be avoiding Minnesota here.
Yep, just retweeting that we're live right now. But yeah, over on the Knicks side of things, Cat is a true game time decision, it seems. I think every time he has been this season, he's ended up playing. But we definitely have to keep an eye on that per Mike Brown. If he's in, I don't mind him here. A little bit too cheap, some 9K, not the best matchup. But if he's out, obviously Jalen Brunson's going to see a boost in usage like we saw at times last season. Mikal Bridges and OG kind of priced where they should be. They look fine to me. Mitchell Robinson's back after sitting last game. Really no interest in him here. But I guess we got to kind of talk through what happens if Cat sits, right? McBride could slide into the starting lineup. Wouldn't mind getting to him. We actually saw Landry Shamet start the other day, even with Cat in and Robinson out. He actually played pretty well as a dirt cheap value play. But yeah, man, against Minnesota, such a big slate. I don't know that I'm really rushing to anything. It's not like we're going to see a ton open up for Robinson if Cat sits. Maybe Yabu Selly slides into the starting lineup. I also think it could be Hart, even though he's playing banged up. So again, it's just another situation where we kind of have to wait and see. Right now, my gut is he plays, and I just don't think we have to get to much New York. I will say on DK, shooting guard is the thinnest position tonight, so I did find myself landing on some Bridges. But other than that, just not much love for the Knicks right now. If we do get that Cat news, obviously we'll backtrack and talk through this team a bit more. But for now, Jayhawk, how are you going to handle the Knicks?
Yeah, so it's mainly just Cat if he plays, and then I do like Brunson a lot either way. I wouldn't say a ton, but 8,800, he does have a ceiling, I think. still below 9K. So I'm fine getting to Brunson here. I think, getting slightly over the field is fine. But other than Brunson and maybe Cat if he plays, not much I'm getting to here.
Yep. Makes total sense. Another game at 7:30, one of the wider spreads on the slate, 232.5 point total. We have the Wizards here in Boston taking on the Celtics. Starting on the Wizards side of things, this is kind of tricky. I mean, young team could get blown out. No Chris Middleton, though, does open up a little bit. I mean, CJ McCollum feels a bit cheap for what he's capable of. Kaishan George, even with Koulibaly in, definitely has some upside, sub 7K. And then Sar, I mean, he's another guy who spiked the ceiling. It's just another situation where this team's kind of healthier than they have been. They're all a little bit more expensive than I want them to be. I don't think there's any Wizards playing standing out to me, especially in this particular matchup. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah, very tough spot here for obviously for Washington. 13-point spread, favor of Boston. Man, I think Kaishan probably would be my favorite if we're playing a close game here. Maybe like a Pritchard Kaishan mini game stack. I think makes a lot of sense. Even Alex Sarr, I guess if you're playing that correlation there, you could get to a 5%, but I think there's so many safer plays. So probably just Kaishan and Sarr as like sprinkles.
Yeah, totally with you. You can mix him in, but again, really no priorities. Over on the Boston side of things, obviously no Tatum. Other than that, just a few G Leaguers on the injury report. We call them the big three. It's certainly not KG, Allen, and Pierce like back in the day, but Brown, White, and Pritchard here all look pretty good. They're all drawing ownership. I don't know that I'd want more than one in a lineup, but they're all a little bit too cheap for what they're capable of. I think Pritchard's the easiest to get to, especially on DK again, because shooting guard is so thin over there. Brown has been solid. White, he's starting to see his shot fall more, and we have all of them projected 32 or more minutes. Those three look good. Josh Minott was the flavor of the week a week or so ago. That's kind of fallen out of favor now. Keita is cheap enough to maybe consider, but I don't think they need to stay big here against the Wizards. So again, it's their pseudo big three right now. Brown, White, Pritchard for me. Again, don't mind any of them. I don't know that I'm really ranking one heavily over the other, but probably wouldn't want more than one in a lineup. Jayhawk, any interest in Boston for you?
Yeah, so I think Boston, in terms of matchup, looks super good here. I think all three of Brown, Pritchard, and White firmly in playing tournaments. I'm getting to the most of Pritchard and then Brown and then White, but I think all those guys are kind of interchangeable with how good of a spot this is.
Yeah, man, I'm in total agreement. Definitely fine getting to all of them. We did get a shout out about Sar, Bigs against Boston. Yeah, I mean, they haven't been great in the front court defensively. I just think there's some blowout risk and some pace issues here, maybe. So you can play Sar, man. I probably think he is the best Wizards play next to George. It's just tough to really call him a core player or anything like that. I'm getting into the 8 o'clock window now, and then the 8:30 game. We did just get word that Jordan Poole is going to be out for the Pels. Obviously, that's major. We'll talk to that game in just a minute. First, we got to get to the Rockets here, taking on the Grizzlies in Memphis. Pretty tight spread. Rockets on the road, been playing really well. 232.5 point total. Starting with them, Steve Adams is questionable. Dorian Finney-Smith is out. Jabari Smith is questionable. So the Jabari Smith stuff is obviously significant. If he's out, we could definitely go back to Tari Eason again here, assuming he's going to slide in as the starter. I don't know if Jabari's going to play or not. It seems like a true 50-50. Definitely news to keep an eye on. If he's in, I mean, I'm still prioritizing Eamon Thompson. He's just been so good. I think he's too cheap for his upside. Love the game environment for him here. He's consistently getting over 40 fantasy points. So yeah, Eamon Thompson for me, kind of a pseudo core play. I'm not paying up for much Sengun. I think Durant's fine at low ownership, just not really something I'm rushing to. But again, if we get Smith out, Eason very quickly becomes a core play, has small and power forward eligibility, which is super appealing. But for me, regardless, I do want to get some Eamon in my lineups tonight. Jayhawk, how are you going to handle Houston?
Yeah, so pretty good spot here for Houston. I think starting with Amon, I agree. I think he's probably the top play here. Just been very good the past couple of games, really stepping into his role here for Houston. And then I don't mind. I know you mentioned you don't love Sengun, but if you want to get different, I think it's a really, really good spot in tournaments for Sengun up top at center. So I do like Sengun a lot at low ownership. And then I'm not getting too much KD. It's mainly just Amon and Sengun for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind saying I wasn't going to say he's a bad play. I just find myself either getting all the way up to Jokic or using one of the like 100 value centers we have, but the field's thinking the same thing. So whenever you get him at low ownership, it definitely makes sense. Good matchup for him as well. We did just get that Cleveland news. Merrill and Garland are in, as is Jared Allen. Hunter is out. So it kind of cancels out like Hunter's been seeing enough usage that I think Garland coming in kind of just makes it all pretty neutral. Don't think we really have to go too crazy with Cleveland. Merrill coming back as well. Someone I was looking to with Hunter out earlier in the season, but again, with Garland back, not really a priority. Back to this game, though, Memphis here. John Morant getting dragged through the mud once again by the media. I mean, it's been brutal this week. All these execs coming out saying they have no interest in trading for him. He's hardly valuable anymore, both for on-court and off-court stuff. Just brutal, man, right? Kind of is what it is. But on DK, I think he's overpriced. FanDuel, 7,900 for him with a chip on his shoulder coming back. Don't mind it at all. Definitely could see mixing John in over on FanDuel. Jaren Jackson, a little bit pricey for my taste. Yeah, I guess you could say Landell is another one of these centers that are cheap enough to consider. I just think there's better centers and better matchups for similar prices. So a little bit of jaw on FanDuel for me. That's probably it as far as Memphis goes, at least as far as I'm concerned. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah, not much to add here, Nick. I think Jaw probably the top play over on FanDuel. Too cheap over there, but just overall here, kind of contrary to Memphis, kind of a tough spot here for or sorry, contrary to Houston, kind of a tough spot for Memphis here.
Yep, know exactly what you mean. Again, shuts up power, joining in with the Garland stuff. Pause seems to be a true questionable unicorn. If it wasn't a back to back, I'd say I think he plays, but it is. Jose, since we already talked about this game, I'll pull this up for you quickly. What are the center minute projections for Philly? Looks like we got Drummond at 20, Bona at 22. That sounds about right. Drummond, obviously, the better fantasy point per minute producer, but Bona probably going to get the start against Cleveland and their great front court defense. I think I'd rather go to like a Claxton or a Jackson or a Nurkic or a couple of these others we're about to talk about. One, maybe in this next game here, we have the New Orleans Pelicans on the road taking on the Dallas Mavericks. So, New Orleans yesterday, I mean, everyone rushed to Looney. I didn't. That was one of the only things I got right, though. So I really can't pat myself on the back too hard. Let me just pull up the injury report before I miss anything. So Yves Missy's out. DeJounte Murray's out. Jordan Poole is out officially, as is Zion Williamson. Projected lineup, I mean, I don't know. Do we see Bay start or is it going to be Alvarado after the game he had last night? I know earlier in the day we were all kind of talking like Alvarado's probably going to come in overowned. I think the field might overreact off of a huge game. But now with Poole out, one of the better value plays on the slate. I didn't refresh the model yet, but I do imagine we're going to see him kind of shoot towards the top in terms of value on both sites and ownership. Going to be tough to get away from. Fears put up a dud. I'm fine going right back to Fears, though. Obviously, should see extra usage with Poole off the floor. Trey Murphy, the safest of this group, just consistently playing minutes, even in back to backs, going to carry a ton of usage. He does it all. But yeah, man, this is really just a team we're going to have to break down in some detail here, right? I will say, keep an eye on the starting lineup. I think Alvarado is a good play either way. If he starts, he's going to become chalk. But with Poole out, I kind of changed my tune of maybe he would be overowned. I think now he's almost a necessary evil. Then the front court, I mean, even if Looney starts, I don't really want to play him if I'm being completely honest. Even going back to Golden State as a starter, not a guy who consistently gets 25 minutes. We have him for 16. I don't know that I'm rushing to chase the Derek Queen points, but I'd much rather play him knowing he has upside compared to someone like Looney who just doesn't do a ton for fantasy when he's on the floor. Definitely a good NBA player. Doesn't always mean he's good for fantasy. But yeah, man, I think Murphy's great, kind of a core play for me. I do really like Alvarado. Those two stand out. Probably missing something though. So cover my blind spots here on the Pelicans.
Yeah, man. So starting with Alvarado and Fears here, with no Jordan Poole now, I think Alvarado, I think he's much safer in terms of minutes. So totally fine getting there. I think he's probably one of the best value plays on the slate now. And then I think Fears is good as well. He didn't shoot the best, and he also lost a bunch of minutes. He should be more secure for minutes now with Poole out as well. So I think they're both great. Don't really have like a huge lean one or the other. And then obviously Trey Murphy, kind of the safest guy here. Just going to get a bunch of shots up, even more without Poole. So yeah, love Murphy. And then we didn't touch on Herb Jones. I wanted to hear your take on Herb Jones. And then Derek Queen, man. I guess we're playing him because I'm not playing Looney tonight. So let's hear your take on him as well.
Yeah, I'll start with Herb Jones. Like he's that like last piece in, right? Even with all these guys out, like I don't mind getting to him, but he just feels similar to like I don't know, a Bilal Coulibaly or like Derek Brooks when he was on the Rockets, or like Harrison Barnes back when he was on the Kings. Like these are guys you get into your lineup. They can score you 30 fantasy points, but they could also play 30 minutes and do nothing. That's how I feel about Herb Jones. He hasn't been shooting a lot. I will say he should see more usage here, but that's not a guarantee. I do think Sadiq Bey, for a little bit cheaper, not that he's been much better, might actually have the higher ceiling, as weird as that is to say out loud. But they're very similar plays. I'm fine getting to Herb, but knowing that he's going to be 30+% owned now, also very comfortable getting away. As for Queen, I do think he's talented. Like the Pels went out of their way to trade up and get this kid. And yeah, he's got a good kind of mentor there with DeAndre Jordan. Obviously, clips been going around today. I would feel much, much better about him if he starts. And I think there's a world where he could start next to Looney. But coming off the bench against Dallas, who honestly can play pretty small after Gafford, I don't know that I trust his minutes. We have him for 24. Looney we have for 20. That seems about right. But they could both play less, and they could play a little bit smaller than usual, get more minutes for someone like Bay. So, again, need to see the starting lineup. They're kind of secondary options for me. I will say Queen's cheap enough, especially with forward eligibility. I'm pretty comfortable mixing him in, even off the bench, but I can't say it's safe. Again, we got to see that starting lineup, I think.
Yep, I agree. I think the starting lineup is very pivotal to these guys.
Yeah, and we'll see that soon, hopefully, guys, before the end of the stream. Over on the Dallas side of things, Kyrie Irving obviously out for a while. No Derek Lively, Dante Exum, or Anthony Davis. Pretty interesting to see, and this wasn't even a refresh pre-stream, but we did see a lot of ownership going to Gafford. Only played 24 minutes against the Rockets. Tough matchup, though. Played really well, got the 30 fantasy points. He's another center I'd consider mixing in his value here tonight. Again, just not the deepest front court rotation. PJ Washington feels too cheap on FanDuel, reasonably priced on DK, fine mixing him in. Cooper Flag, I mean, I would prefer him playing next to D'Lo and D'Lo starting at point, but it seems like they bring D'Lo in when they take Flag off the floor. I wish JK could just figure out these rotations. They seem obvious to me. Obviously, it's much more complicated than that. But yeah, Klay Thompson needs to see less minutes. We need more D'Lo, which is not something I expected to be saying in 2025. But until we're getting that, it's just tough for me to pay these mid 6K prices for Flag as much as I like him. So yeah, it's PJ for me here, man. Definitely fine getting to some D'Lo even off the bench. He's just been so productive, seeing such a high usage rate, even running that second unit. But yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, man. I just wish they'd kind of flush these Klay Thompson minutes. But he's kind of making things difficult for the rest of these guys right now. Are you getting too much Dallas here?
Yeah, so Dallas, super interesting team. Obviously, a really good spot in terms of overall matchup here. I think Gafford, probably my favorite click here. 4,700. I haven't missed the best point per dollar play here for Dallas. And then I think D'Lo looks fantastic off the bench. I usually don't say D'Lo looks fantastic, but I am tonight. So 6K, I think he looks really good. And then, PJ, we've kind of noted this, at his price, he fits and builds. I think he has a ceiling, but he's more of just a pretty solid price point play to fill your lineups. And then, yeah, no Cooper Flag. Sorry, Chuck. I will not be getting to Cooper Flag tonight.
Well, Chuck is the anti-flag.
Oh yeah,
Guy.
I'm missing
I'm
most
the
of it.
flag. I'm the flag stand. So yeah, we're reversed on that. But I will say, like, Flag is a very similar play to me as PJ Washington. I think he does
Yeah.
have similar upside. It's just you're going to get it less often. But again, he's 18, man. He's settling into this role. I just wish they had a good point guard next to him. Been getting reports that like Kyrie and him have been spending a lot of time together. So when Kyrie comes back, I do think we see an even better version. But who knows? Again, he's a kid, still developing. But we're talking about DFS. We're talking about today. I think he's priced where he should be, so can't really call him a priority. But we may go back to New Orleans as we get that news. But until then, let's get into the last game here on the DK slate, the 9 o'clock game between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Miami Heat, bunch of G Leaguers listed. No Tyler Hero. KJ is questionable. The rookie, Jacquionis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he could be back tonight. Something to keep an eye on. Not that we're going to be playing him. Nikola Jovic, close friends with Nikola Jokic. He said he really cares about this game. He's sick of getting punked by Joker. Jokic wants him to get traded to the Nuggets. A bunch of funny stuff came out today. I don't know that I'm playing him, though, because we got Norm Powell coming back. And with Powell back, it's going to cut into the usage of everyone else. I think if there is a Miami Heat player I'm going to be playing here, it would be Norm Powell. Again, we've had some really good games lately out of Hawkes, Mitchell, Wiggins, but they're all going to lose usage here with Powell on the floor. So it's kind of tough to want to pay these prices, especially in a tough matchup. Not much love from me for Miami tonight, Jayhawk. How about you?
Yeah, man. We need to get Jovic and Jokic on the same team, man. Let's start a petition, sign it, spread it around. But yeah, I think for Miami here, very tough to get to end these guys. I do like that Norman Powell shot 1% owned. You know, I think in particular guys that can shoot the 3-pointer can really step up here. So like Powell, and then I don't hate Wiggins 6%, but it's a tough spot here, man. I mean, I think Denver has a pretty good game here tonight.
Yeah, and again, part of why I'm getting to Powell is I'm more so playing on DK tonight, and shooting guard is just barren. Like, it's brutal. Over on the Denver side of things, a little bit of news we're waiting on. Looks like Murray is probable, so maybe not. I thought he was questionable. Good to see that he's going to be in. Nothing else too significant here. Julian Strother is in and available as part of that rotation. If we're looking at OF index here, I mean, even with FanDuel included, Jokic, top play on the slate, ahead of the likes of Luka, Wemby, SGA. Pretty popular on DK, 22%, where you could play two centers, 15% over on FanDuel. I think if you can afford him, he's a damn good play. Happy to get to him. But again, it just depends how much of that other value you're going to trust. Jamal Murray remains a little bit underpriced, sub 8K on both sites. He looks good. Those are the two I'd be keying in on. Not sure I'd want them both in the same lineup against Miami, but they both look good. And then Gordon, Brown, you can mix those two in. Tough for me to really even mention anyone else. Jayhawk, how are you feeling about Denver here? Are you getting to a lot of Jokic?
Yeah, man. Nikola Jokic here, I think pretty clearly my top play. 12K is expensive, but every slate I got to get some Jokic exposure. So great spot here in tournaments. And then Jamal is the only other guy I'm getting to here. He looks fine, sub 8K, but I'm really taking a stand here on Jokic. I think he's a really good play.
Yep. Quick question here from Rocket Sauce saying Flag or MPJ. The model actually favors Flag, surprisingly. I slightly prefer MPJ. I think he's the higher ceiling. Jayhawk, how you feeling about that one? Kind of tricky.
Yeah, I think salary regardless, probably I think MPJ has a big, like you mentioned, big ceiling in the spot. Obviously, really good spot, good matchup. Just takes a bunch of shots. So I'm gonna say MPJ, but it's close for sure.
Yeah, it's close. And I do think we're going to see some big flag games soon, especially in a matchup like this against a bad defense. I mean, he's had some rough ones against OKC and Houston, but seems like when he plays bad teams, he does do pretty well. So don't mind either, leaning MPJ. But let's get into the 10 o'clock window now. So we're through the games on the DK slate, but we got the Warriors here taking on the Kings. Warriors are slight dogs on the road here. Is a back-to-back for them. Curry and Butler are out. Draymond is questionable. Melton is out. Pods is questionable. Tricky situation here for Golden State. First and foremost, Kaminga looks excellent. Absolutely love him on FanDuel. I'd be jamming him in regardless of whether pods are green or in or out. Just looks great for his price. Totally fine getting to him. Only had the one center spot. I don't know that I could go right back to post coming off a good game. But yeah, I mean, he was tremendous last night against Phoenix. Don't mind mixing him in. Moody is another guy who should benefit with some of these other guys out. Just don't know that we could trust his minutes. Like, we haven't really seen him push 30 even with guys off the floor. Buddy Hield's another one. If he slides into the starting lineup, sure. But given how scoring dependent he is, I'd say proceed with some caution. But for me, Kaminga, definitely a core play here. If Paz is in, I'd probably consider him one as well. Other than that, it's a little bit tricky. But if no one's playing post, why not mix him in if he's going to get the start again, Jayhawk? How are you feeling about Golden State here? Do you have a lean on some of these other questionable tags? Because they already did rule out Curry and Jimmy.
Yeah, so starting with Kaminga, I actually already had him in my FanDuel core. I think he looks awesome. No Jimmy Butler. And then the rest of the team here, yeah, with Paul's questionable, I think he probably plays. Obviously, no Curry. I think they probably need him out there. But we'll have to see. Yeah, Paul's plays, I think he's in play, even at 5,400 on FanDuel. I'm with you on post. I don't think I like him that much with all the other centers we have. And then after that, it's just very thin. So yeah, probably just Kaminga.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is as that news breaks, you will be able to maneuver a bit if you're loading up in this game because Sacramento, another team missing some key pieces tonight. No Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray, or DeMontis Sabonis. DeMar DeRozan, one of the most popular plays over on FanDuel. He should be. 6,800 for him, even though he is scoring dependent, going to see as much usage as he can handle. And in terms of projected minutes, one of the top plays on the entire slate, we have him for 37.5. Russ Westbrook, assuming he starts, looks pretty damn good here as well. Don't love the price increase, but usually when he gets a little bit of extra run, he does tend to put up. So I don't mind getting to him. Malik Monk, who missed some time for personal reasons, probably going to be coming off the bench. Fine as a tournament play, especially as a pivot off of the others. But again, I would say DeRozan, pretty much a core play for me. Don't mind mixing in Russ, Monk, and maybe a little bit of Schroeder. But yeah, tough to get away from DeRozan, in my opinion, especially with small and power forward eligibility. Jayhawk, how you feeling about the Kings here? Slight favorites at home.
Yeah, Kings obviously down Levine and Sabonis. I think DeMar DeRozan, I'm right here with the model. Probably one of the best plays on FanDuel. Just insane usage now with those guys out. And then I think Russell Westbrook should get a slight bump as well. He's not afraid to take some really bad shots and good shots. So I think he looks great as well in the mid tier.
Yep, we're a little tight on time, so I'll try to go a little bit rapid fire for these last few games here. We got OKC taking on Portland. OKC favorites on the road, 230.5 point total. They're resting Chet tonight. No Jalen Williams, no Alex Caruso, no Dort either. Topic and Sorb are both still out. You're fine to get to SGA if you can afford him. Tough for me to call him a priority over some of the other guards we have available. I do think with Chet and others out, the biggest boost is going to be to Hartenstein. It's just, do you want to use that center spot for him or not? I'm not sure. I do like him as a tournament play. Tough to call him a priority. And then AJ Mitchell probably comes off the bench. I think they're going to start Wiggins and then Jalen with the eye. But Mitchell, to me, probably my favorite value here, even though he's not trying much ownership. Or actually, he is 10%. But yeah, man, OKC does look good here. Just keep in mind it's a back-to-back. But yeah, how are you going to handle the Thunder?
Yeah, I think I still feel like OKC, even with some of these guys out, still kind of tough to navigate. I think, Wiggins, Joe, you can sprinkle in tournaments. I don't really have the preference there. Probably Wiggins. And then, Jalen Williams, 7% owned. Another guy that's like a really low on center play. If you liked him, you can mix him in on FanDuel. But like I said, I think there's a bunch of really good center plays tonight. He might be a little bit too thin for my likings here.
Yeah, and you mentioned Isaiah Joe. I appreciate you doing so. I didn't, but he's been shooting the ball really well. A few extra shots for him could go a long way. Definitely viable as a tournament dart. Over on the Portland side of things, no Scoot Henderson, Damian Lillard. Shady Sharp is improbable. No Matisse Thybulle or Blake Wesley. Denny's priced where he should be. Drew's a little bit cheap. I think those two look fine. Tough for me to get to much else here just because Sharp, even with the price decrease, has been so scoring dependent. Klinging's fine, but there's just so many centers on this slate. Again, just to quickly wrap, don't mind Holiday or Denny. Tough for me to call anything a priority for Portland, though. How about you?
Yeah, not much to add here. I think, Denny, 5%, I'm sure, but it's just a tough spotting. It's OKC on a pretty big slate here.
Yep. And then the last game on the slate, we have the Spurs and the Lakers. Pretty much a pick 'em here. 227.5 point total. This is in prime time. Obviously, we got Wemby versus Luca. Starting on the Spurs side of things, no Fox. Harper's going to be out for a while, which is unfortunate. Luke Cornett out. A bunch of other G Leaguers questionable. We do have Sochan. Olynyk is questionable. They could maybe slide back into the rotation, but I don't think it matters too much. Obviously, what we're going to be keying in on here is going to be Wemby and then Stephon Castle. With Harper out, that does secure minutes for Castle in this backcourt. Devin Vassell, a decent tournament pivot as well. Just a little bit too cheap for what I think he's capable of. Rates is the best value in the backcourt, at least over on FanDuel. Champagne actually popping is a decent value. I don't really love Harrison Barnes, but he is projected to start. Yeah, man, Wemby's Wemby, right? I love getting to him. I do slightly prefer Jokic, but it's not by a wide margin. Like him in tournaments. Castle, fine. Vassell, good. How are you going to break down these Spurs?
Yeah, so starting with Wemby, totally fine getting overweight once again. I know it's a really high price tag, but I have to imagine he's going to wake up for this matchup against Luca. And then, Stephon Castle, Lakers have been pretty bad against the guard spot. And I think Castle's a really good play in tournaments as well. So just Castle and Wemby for me.
Yeah, makes sense. I do think with Harper out, we can see a few more minutes for Vassell, but again, he hasn't been great. On the Lakers side of things, Austin Reeves is out, joining LeBron James. Obviously, no Maxi Kleber. Gabe Vincent out as well. Luca projects as one of the best plays on the entire slate. I think I like him even more than Jokic on FanDuel just because we have so many great value centers tonight. Luca, obviously, with no Reeves or LeBron, should take as many shots as he can handle. Really, really good play here, obviously. Fine getting to Ayton. Can't call him a priority. I do like Laravia. It's just he feels a little bit overpriced, even with Reeves off the floor. Him, Rui, Smart. You can make a case for any of them as value, but Luca is the prize here. Looks tremendous. If you can afford him, do it. Probably your cash game pay up on FanDuel as well. Jayhawk, how you feeling about the Lakers here?
Yeah, so I think Luca looks phenomenal, man. Usage should be out of the, or off the charts here. No Reeves, obviously no LeBron. Really good spot here against the Spurs. So I love getting to Luca if possible, and then the rest of the team here, I just think is correctly priced. So you could maybe get to Rui 54, Rudy at 55, but they're just kind of like you know other plays on the slate.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm going to do a quick refresh of the malls because I'm curious where Alvarado's at. We got Jayhawk on double duty today. He's going to be in the Discord leading up to lock. So we will do a DK dummy build. Probably not going to get to the FanDuel one unless we're super fast. But yeah, starting DK value. We see Fears and Alvarado both kind of shooting towards the top. No surprise to me there. Both of them look really good. The ownership mostly going to Alvarado. We're seeing a lot of love for Queen. So nothing too surprising here as far as I'm concerned. I will answer the question before it's asked. You could play Fears and Alvarado in the same lineup. Obviously, going to feel better about that if they're starting, but I think it's going to be rare that at least one of them are on the floor here in a pretty good matchup. So, Jayhawk, let's go ahead and rip through a dummy build. Just start throwing some names at me. I'm happy to start plugging them in.
Let's go Isaiah Stewart. I really like him tonight.
Yep.
And then let's see. Do you want to do one of Alvarado or Fears here?
Yeah, it's tough. I lean Alvarado. I honestly think just he's too cheap. Like even if he doesn't have a great game, like he'll probably get you 20 fantasy points.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Fears is damn good as well. Like don't let me talk you off him. I think Jarcy Walker.
Yep, I was
Am
gonna
I
say that.
pronouncing that right? I don't know. I gotta learn that one, man. I watch a lot of games muted. Honestly filming a lot of UFC while I watch basketball, so multitasking. But shooting guard, we also have. Um, I mean, we could play Fears, or we could go
Trey
a
Murphy's
lot of different
there.
ways.
Who else?
Pritchard, I liked.
Yep.
Bridges, I don't mind. D'Lo,
Yeah, all those guys are good.
honestly, Christie, if we were going cheap. Let's go D'Lo, as gross as it sounds.
Let's do it.
Um, why not? If there was ever a time to play him, it's now in this matchup. Center, we got a ton of value. I like Jackson. I like Claxton. I think we want to maybe jam Jokic into the utility. Who's your favorite value here, man?
It's tough. I have a decent chunk of Gafford. I think we obviously could go Jackson for cheap. Let's
I love Claxton. I'm gonna jam Claxton.
Claxton's good too. I didn't even know. Yeah, I like it. I was gonna say
Yeah,
get a
let's do
Brooklyn,
it.
get someone from Brooklyn.
Yeah, if we're gonna get anyone, I feel probably best about him just because we
Okay.
don't have to pick between the other two. Guard here. I mean, we could also put Fears in. I mean, I don't know. Anyone
They,
I'm forgetting?
they could both get there. And they're both going to be super chalk. Is Pritchard? Can we fit in Pritchard?
I think so. Yeah, we could fit Pritchard.
I like him as well.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be left with 5,400 for forward. Not bad. It's not sorted by salary, of course. Let's see here. I mean, Nas Reed's kind of gross. Eason, no brainer if Smith sits. We
Yeah,
can just plug him for now. If Smith ends up in, I mean, you could go down to someone. I mean, oh, wait, that's why. I'm not on forward. I like Eason a lot.
yeah.
He's probably the guy. I honestly would play him even with Smith in, but you can move some things around, guys. Maybe downgrade Pritchard to someone cheaper like a Fears to upgrade that spot to Smith if you needed to. Appreciate you, David. Thanks for the content. Jayhawk, we could do a fan. I'll let you get out of here, though. We only got 26 minutes to lock now. You got to get into Discord and give the people what they want. But appreciate you, everyone. Always keep an eye on lineups. Obviously, news could change things rapidly. But let's have some fun tonight, make some money, and crush this slate. Take care.
That's good, guys. Good luck. Peace.